Welcome to Rebel Chaser. My name is Gail, and I have a video for you from Magistrate Urich. I think it's Urich. It's either Urich or Urick. You guys let me know. Anyway, I have a video for you from him, and this is a woman who was not using a hands-free device. I'll let you guys watch.
Calling case number 24RO05716. This is People of the City of Royal Oak versus Lindsay Ann Barnhart. That's you?
That is me.
Ms. Barnhart, you were present just seconds ago when the court explained the nature of an informal hearing. Is that true?
Yes.
And the court also explained that you would be required to make a selection from one of three options to protect your own rights, correct?
Correct.
Thank you. Ms. Barnhart, the citation before the court indicates that on July the 15th of this year at about 8 minutes of 8 in the morning, you were operating a 2018 Jeep Wrangler, orange in color on Coolidge Highway at or near 13 Mile Road in the city of Royal Oak. And at that place in time, you were operating the vehicle while simultaneously using a mobile electronic device contrary to Royal Oak Traffic Code 3295. Officer Kendall's remark, which appears on your ticket, indicates mobile device in hand at light of Coolidge and 13, actively looking at device. So the citation is in essence violation of what's fairly commonly now known as the Michigan hands-free law. As to this matter, Ms. Barnhart, you may admit responsibility, you can admit and explain, or you have every right to deny responsibility. We'll swear parties and take testimony. What would you like the court to do?
I feel like I submitted an explanation initially, so
Okay, the court is required in its role as the umpire here to first take a plea before before the court can receive any other explanations. So in essence, we've got three baskets and you've got to put your plea through one of them. So you can admit and explain, or if you feel you didn't violate Michigan hands-free, you have every right to deny responsibility.
yeah, I mean, I was touching it, so I wouldn't deny it. That would just be lying. But so I guess admit and explain is probably my best option.
So you're admitting to the court that on the date in question, you were operating a motor vehicle in the city of Royal Oak while simultaneously using or holding a mobile device, correct?
Holding.
The court accepts your plea. What would you like the court to know?
Well, I feel like I kind of need to make a little bit of an explanatory case because one, I actually did not know that you couldn't be touching. I thought you just could not be like actively driving and using. So as we discussed, I do have a Jeep Wrangler. My doors come off a lot, especially in the summer. And so I don't have a device to hold the phone for me. So I actually typically do use my GPS and hold, because if it's in my cup holder, that is not a good place for it to be because then I have to look down, correct? And I don't want to have it in a place where it can go flying out of the vehicle at any moment. So I typically don't have a device or something, I don't know what it's called, one of those phone holders to hold the phone. That being said, it's in my cup holder otherwise when my doors are on, so I don't lose it out of the vehicle or something. So I was not actually moving the vehicle when I was touching the phone. It was a completely stopped red light. And I did grab it to look at the time, which I stated when I was pulled over. But at first, I did not even know why I was pulled over because I truly was not like reading something. I was not actively texting. So to pick it up and to glance at it and have it in my hand for 5 seconds and put it back down, I honestly just, my issue is the fact that I'd never been pulled over before. And then I was given the highest ticket on the list of tickets you can receive, like for cost, for something that honestly in that moment did not put anyone at risk. And I do understand because trust me, people are on their phones and they're very distracted and I honk at them all the time and people don't go when lights turn green, but that was not the case. And so I would gladly say, sure, did I grab my phone? Yes, I did. Was I actively using it? Not really. So I tried to explain that at the time, as I also tried to get an explanation of the hands-free rule because I did not fully understand it. And so I feel like to get a ticket of that nature in that situation, when I was currently watching the lady in the lane next to me write a full email at the whole stoplight, um, was a bit unfair, to be honest. Um, so I don't know how much more information you want.
No, and do you have anything else you want the court to know?
I also do just want to make a note that I think that the explanation of how to go through this process needs to be made more clear, because I had to ask several of my friends that are lawyers for advice on how to even contact and like make choices to go through the system. The officer did not tell me how I could fight the ticket. She just said, well, you can fight it then, and walked away. And then when I called the court clerks to try to reschedule, because I have patients that I work with and I also teach at the university, I was not given an understanding that I could only reschedule this one time. They said, well, you can just reschedule if it doesn't work for you. Well, it didn't work. I had clients scheduled, so I rescheduled in hopes of getting a better date. Then, when I got the second date, is the day that was right in the middle of my class that I teach once a week. I teach at the doctorate level. I cannot reschedule that course. I have no one to fill my role. And so that was a worse date for me. And so at that point, I then had to call numerous times to basically beg to have it rescheduled one more time, far enough out that I could block my caseload. So in that, like, I feel like that was just a gross, like, misuse of time and management. And I think that then if you're being told you can reschedule a case, that needs to be apparently clear, how to go through the process, because I have resources and a good degree and head about me and wits about me, and I was able to figure it out and get my way through it, but a lot of people aren't, and that in of itself is not fair. So I just wanted to note that too.
Thank you. Officer Kendall, anything you wish the court to know before the court considers any sanction in this matter?
Yes, Your Honor, I would like to add one thing after reviewing my body cam footage this morning. Mrs. Barnhart did state during the traffic stop that she was checking if her patient was at her practice yet for her appointment because she was running late to work. So I just wanted to add that as well.
Yeah, so I picked it up. I looked to see the time.
Ms. Barnhart, you made that abundantly clear in your statement.
Sorry, I don't know the process.
We've got a whole backlog of folks here. We're trying to give this as much attention as it absolutely deserves. But we can't continue to go point counterpoint for the balance of the afternoon. There are a couple things of concern here. First, Ms. Barnhart, the good news is this is a 0-point violation. Okay. So you're right, you didn't hit anybody. But that would be because, you might have gotten lucky. The court notices that this is a first offense of this nature, and for that reason, there's no necessity for the court to order a remedial class with respect to this particular offense. That is a new state requirement as well. Upon a second finding of responsibility in this matter, an online course is required. As somebody in healthcare, you probably know that MVAs cause a great deal of the traffic coming through emergency rooms.
Oh, yeah.
And there was a remark earlier where you had said, well, I was only looking at it for a minute. And when we're driving, when we're conducting ourselves in civil society, we can't make unilateral judgments as to, well, I think the law's for this, but I'm not quite doing that, so I'm going to do it this way. We can't necessarily customize the statutes, the motor vehicle code, etc. The other issue is, somebody else may have been looking at your phone next to you. The officer may have seen them, may have not. But under that logic, anybody and everybody, for instance, at the Woodward Cruise who's speeding has to be let go because the officers can't pull over each and every one.
Right.
So I understand your frustration. On a final matter, I would suggest that I've been in and around this court since 1986. I have never known court staff to be anything other than as helpful as they can possibly be. So I'm sorry that in some form you felt as though you were inconvenienced. The fine in this matter is $220. The court notes that there is a bond posted, and therefore that closes this case. Thank you.
So I'm not clear on what that means. I'm sorry. I've never dealt with anything like this, so I am.
So the fine is
Speedy bird.
The fine is $220. The file indicates a bond's already been posted. So you have a zero balance, and that is the end of the case today.
So I had to pay the $220 for being stopped and picking up my phone and setting it back down.
Was the court unclear?
I'm just trying to ask for clarity.
The fine for this, the court has accepted your plea. The fine for this citation is $220. The court did not find in the fashion that you seem to believe that there was a grossly mitigating circumstance. Therefore, the court has sought not to reduce the fine. The court doesn't have the statutory authority to simply toss the case. So the fine is $220. $220 has already been posted as a bond. Now you owe this court nothing, and that closes your case. Was that clear?
It's clear, but I don't appreciate being talked to like a child. Thank you.
This woman was extremely pretentious. I mean, she tried to tell the court how to run the court and that they should change everything to suit her problems. You know, she had a class to teach and it was a doctorate level class, and there's no way she could change it. Well, what happens if you're sick? What happens if you're home throwing up? I think you can change the class. And maybe you say, hey, you know, I'm not going to be here next week. You're going to have to do 2 weeks worth of work. Whatever. But to sit there and then she said, I don't understand what this means. It means you pay the fine. You lost the case and you pay the fine. She didn't understand that part, which was just ridiculous. I mean, I really don't know what to say about this woman. She made no sense from the beginning about her doors coming off and how she can't have anything that holds her phone because her doors are not there. Well, I would think that's when you need it the most. You need something to hold your phone, or use Bluetooth. Stick something in your ear. And you know what? Cars, and I looked this up. I did just a little quick Google search, but Model Ts had a clock in them. So I think she could have just looked on her dash for the time. She didn't have to touch her phone, because she only said she touched her phone. At the end, she said she picked up her phone. She held her phone. She knows she did. She was trying to get one over on the court. She wanted to be so helpful and tell the court how to do its business. You know, and then she was so shocked. I think it's a her problem, like Judge Manning says. It might be a you problem. Yeah. If she sees this video, it just might be a you problem. Normal people that don't have their heads stuck up in the clouds, know how to do this. But she didn't. Anyway, thank you guys so much for watching, and I'll see you next time.